What's up guys, it's Katie and I'm going to be recapping and reviewing the final episode ever of Game of Thrones. This is really crazy, so if you're not caught up on Game of Thrones, get out unless you want to hear all the spoilers, then sure. If you're not subscribed to me, it would mean a ton if you could hit that subscribe button down below or over here on the side so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Guys, this is the end. I still feel like I'm in a state of shock. So I kind of don't really have any emotions. It's really weird. Like I'm not like super pumped and I'm not like super sad. It's like this weird in between. So let's just talk about this episode. Basically starts off, we have Tyrion, we have Jon, and they are walking through just what is left of King's Landing. They're seeing dead bodies everywhere. There's a dude with half his back missing. It's pretty gross. They're walking around in disbelief at the carnage that has become of King's Landing, and it's, you know, it's just crazy. There's ash just raining from the sky. We stumble upon Grey Worm, who's basically got a few remaining Cersei army members chilling out, and he's gonna execute them. And Jon tries to stop him and is like, no, don't do this. You know, he actually brings up a good point, and of course Grey Worm just kills them. But I love that Tyrion and Jon are like, we're gonna go talk to the Queen, and still Grey Worm doesn't wait for any answer from Daenerys. He just does it, he just kills them. Okay. Then all of a sudden we cut to Jon walking up the steps where Dany is. Magically Grey Worm is there. I don't really know how, because I figure he'd go to Dany immediately, but maybe not. Okay, anyway. He's walking up these steps and, you know, all of the Dothraki and Unsullied are below. We do get a really cool shot. I'm sure like some people thought it was cheesy of, you know, we get Daenerys walking forward with Drogon's wings out to each side of her, making her the dragon, which was cool. I thought it was cool. Some of my friends already texted me how cheesy it was, so I can totally understand if you thought it was cheesy. I liked that. I don't know, I thought it was cool. She makes this great speech telling the Dothraki and the Unsullied that, you know, you've followed me here, we've accomplished this, and now we're gonna go take on the world, which is so backward from what she had told them. She told them they'd all be free, like the Unsullied would be free, follow her, you know, they could go free at any time, but if they followed her to Westeros, you know, she would reward them and they could be free and live this incredible life. And of course she stands up there and she's like, well, I've done what I've set out to do and you guys have all followed me, and now you're all going to keep following me and I'm going to take over the world. And they're all like, yeah! We did get a little bit of a look from Grey Worm, which I appreciated. Whether or not it meant anything, who knows, but he did kind of give a look like, oh, we gotta do more of this? Because you said it was done after you conquered King's Landing and became the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, so I don't know if you guys caught that look, but I liked it, I enjoyed it, so who knows? I just feel like that sucks for them, because they followed her this far. And then of course we have Jon and we have Tyrion, and they're both up there with Dany, and I'm thinking, oh, someone's just gonna come out and kill her. Tyrion walks up, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna do it, that'd be, oh, like right in front of everyone, oh, that'd be crazy. He's definitely gonna die if he does that. Walking forward, and he removes the Hand of the Queen pin and tosses it down. I thought it was really cool that he did that, just because I definitely think he would do that. That's very in character. He probably should have done that a few episodes ago, or like maybe advised her at all this season, but sure, okay. Then Dany goes inside. We have a nice little moment between Jon and Arya where he's basically telling her to wait for him, and she was like, no, don't. Like, I don't know, that scene honestly just kind of was there. I'm not really sure it played any purpose, I guess, trying to sway Jon's head and emotions. Gosh. And then Jon goes to visit Tyrion, who's in prison now for betraying Daenerys and doesn't want to be her hand anymore. So then he's taken prisoner, and Jon goes to visit him, and they actually, this was like a good scene. And this scene actually brought me back to past scenes, which we all loved, these character moments and these really beautiful scenes with these characters talking with one another. And I really liked this scene. It was basically Tyrion trying to convince Jon that his loyalties are in the wrong place. And Jon's just sitting there defending her. Like, how could they have made Jon Snow so dumb? How did he become this dumb? Like, he truly does know nothing. Like, was that the whole point of it? Like, we're gonna tell Jon that he knows nothing, because he knows nothing. Ha ha ha! Like, last week I was all mad about Daenerys. This week I'm more mad about Jon. Jon got shafted. Like, if you're a Jon fan out there and you're not disappointed, I don't know what you're watching, because it isn't the same show that I'm watching. As a Jon fan, which I am, I was like, when did he become this dumb? Like, he's made some interesting choices, but I just feel like he started out so strong, and, you know, having to lead the Night's Watch and, you know, dying and coming back, like, all of these things that have happened to Jon over the course of this show, I just feel like he just became very, very dull and not that smart this season. And I feel bad for Jon fans, including myself. And I think that really sucks, and I think it's such a disservice to the character, because Jon Snow was like one of, if not the lead of Game of Thrones. I mean, obviously there's many leads of Game of Thrones, but he was definitely a huge character from the very beginning. Tyrion gives him some great advice. I really did like that scene, and besides Jon Snow being an idiot, the very next scene is we have Dany walking up to the Iron Throne. There's ash raining down, or is it snow? Who knows? Because I'm thinking in my head, the ash would not be raining down still, right? I'm not an expert in fire, so I don't really know how ash falling works, but it just felt like a lot was falling, and she's at the top. So I'm like, well, where is it coming from? I guess the whole city. Sure. I mean, I don't know. I can tell you, I have no idea. But everything was covered in ash, and whether or not it was snowing, dunno. But she approaches the throne, and I have to give the episode, well, I want to give the composer a huge props, because the song that played when she saw the Iron Throne and walked up to it was like one of the most beautiful songs. It was absolutely stunning, and it took my breath away. I wish the scene would have taken my breath away along with it, but the music was absolutely stunning in that moment. She sees the Iron Throne, she touches it. Like, this is everything she has wanted and has fought so hard for this entire time, and she finally has it. And I actually really did like the shot where we see Daenerys from the front, and, you know, it kind of pans next to her and we see the figure of Jon Snow in the back. I thought that was really cool. We all knew what was coming next. I mean, I called it from forever ago. I knew Dany was not going to make it at the end of this show. I kind of said that just because I was really hoping to subvert my own expectations. Ooh. I just thought, like, there's no way Dany's gonna make it out of this, but I kind of hoped in the end that maybe it would have worked out in a way that made sense. But no, Jon comes in and Dany gives this beautiful speech to him, and he's basically yelling at her, telling her that she murdered all these innocent women and children. She should go down there and see this. And she's telling him in her delusion that this is what needs to happen and the other people don't get to choose. And, you know, they go to kiss, and we all knew it was coming. I mean, we all knew it was coming. Jon kills Dany, and the funny thing is, and which was an interesting choice, this is like one of the episodes I'm actually looking forward to seeing the behind the scenes on, because I'm really curious as to why they didn't want to show us her being stabbed, because she looks down, and I was expecting, like, editing wise, if you're an editor, you'd know that, like, when someone looks down, you usually cut to what they're looking at, and they didn't do that in this scene. So I thought that was really interesting. Maybe it was because we already all knew what had happened, but at the same time, like, they did this in Xena a lot, where they would do the fake stab, where one person would stab another person, one person would react, but it would be the non-reacting person who actually got stabbed. So for a second there, I was like, ooh, maybe she actually stabbed Jon. And I was like, oh no. Nope, he just stabs her, we don't even really see it, and she just dies. Like, just like Cersei and Jaime, it was super anticlimactic, and she just dies. and Jon's holding her and he's all upset, and it's like, yeah, okay, you're upset, I get it, yeah. And then Drogon, you hear Drogon, you're like, oh, Jon, you are screwed, Drogon's coming for you. Totally thought that's how Jon was gonna go out, and honestly, I think that may have been a little bit more honorable than what happened to him. Oh, God. So Drogon shows up, and honestly, like, I almost shed a tear only because of Drogon, and he was like nudging his dead mama, and I was like, no, this is reminding me of Land Before Time, and it's really sad. And, you know, he looks at Jon, Drogon looks at Jon, and then Drogon looks at Jon, and you're like, oh, well, bye, Jon, it's been fun. Guess he's gonna die by dragonfire this whole time. But Drogon just, no, angrily breathes fire, melting the Iron Throne. Can't even say it with a straight face. Drogon melts the Iron Throne. I don't have anything to say, because that part was super cheesy. Super cheesy. And then Drogon looks at Jon and just scoops up Dany and flies away. Okay, I was like, oh, I hope they kind of cut back to see where Drogon went with Dany's body, because like I at least thought they'd bury her and we'd get like some sort of nice moment. No, Drogon was just like, bye. So then after that, we get Tyrion, and his beard is super long, so we're like, okay, time has passed. Why isn't he freed from his prison yet? What's going on? Grey Worm comes to get him, brings him out, and we see all these characters that we all know and love. Some of them not love. We actually got Edmure Tully back, which was really fun. I loved seeing him back. We got Robin. That was a shocker for me. Grey Worm is like, he needs to be on trial. And they're like, well, I think he should be pardoned. I think he's okay. And Grey Worm's like, no, that's not justice. And they're like, well, the queen isn't around anymore, so what are you doing? So then they're like, I think we should just elect a new king or queen. And Grey Worm's like, okay, make your decision. Like, all of this was so weird. So weird. I mean, it was a cool scene in theory, but it was so weird, and there were so many like awkward comedic moments in it that I feel like this series finale should not be so comedic. There was just like some really strange comedic choices made. So Edmure Tully stands up and he's like, I'm gonna vie for this position, and he starts making the speech, and Sansa's just like, no, sit down. Liked that moment. Okay, I get the little bit of humor in that, and that's fine, but Tyrion is the one to be like, I think it should be Bran Stark, and here are all the reasons why. I'm sure you could tell by my deep sigh that I wasn't having it, but whatever. At this point, I was like, I just don't care anymore. Who's the king or queen of Westeros? Sure, Bran will be fine, okay? I really wanted it to be Sansa because she has the most experience in a leadership position, but she firmly believes that there shouldn't be a king or queen of Westeros, and that Winterfell will remain free. And okay, like I can get behind that. So she doesn't want to be queen, sure. But Bran didn't want to be king, so just saying. They end up electing Bran Stark. Bran the Broken is now the king. Never would have guessed that from the beginning, which is probably why they went with it. And Bran is like, and Tyrion, you're gonna be my hand. And Tyrion's like, no thanks, I don't want it. And Bran's like, well, I don't want to be king, so guess you're gonna have to do this. And I was like, yeah, Tyrion was always going to be someone's hand in the end. That's always what I thought, because he is a really good hand when he actually advises, but he just stopped advising Daenerys. Anyway, so yeah, that happened, and then they basically were like, okay, and Jon needs to be punished, so we're gonna just send him off back to the Night's Watch. There's still a Night's Watch, apparently, and he was Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and now he's just gonna have to go be a part of the Night's Watch that happened to just still be up north? Like, okay, sure. So that's Jon's punishment, off to the Night's Watch. And then we get a scene between Jon and Tyrion, and he's in the prison, and Jon even says the best quote, which I hope someone can gif for me and send it to me, and then I want to be able to use it over and over and over again when describing season 8 of Game of Thrones. Jon Snow says, "This doesn't feel right." And I'm like, yep, that's how I feel about this whole season. Doesn't feel right. So then then basically we have our like wrap up of wrap ups where they're escorting Jon onto a ship because he's going up north. And then you have Grey Worm on the ship who's basically like, okay, well, we're gonna go to the Isle of Nath. And I really liked that because I did like his, you know, honoring Missandei in that moment, which was really, really nice. I wish he wasn't such a jerk the last half of the season, because I would have felt a little bit more for him that he finally gets to go be free and try to have a happy life. And then we get the goodbyes of the Starks, and this was just so weird, you know. Sansa's like, this is all we could really do for you, Jon, sorry. Like, it just felt so strange how, you know, he's never been part of the family, and then of course all of them are off scot-free and getting to be happy and live their lives, and they're just like, Jon, you gotta go back to the Night's Watch, bye. And Arya mentions that she's gonna go west. She's like, what's west of Westeros? No one's ever gone, so I'm gonna head there. I was like, okay, cool. What, are they setting us up for like a sequel? Cause I'm here for it. The Adventures of Arya, so down, like HBO, let's do it. But I was like, all right, well, that seems very Arya-like, that she would go off and explore and do her own thing. We did then get a scene with Brienne where she has the book, and it's got all the history of all the knights in there, and of course there's Jaime Lannister's page that she finds, and it's unfinished, and she gets to write his ending. And I thought that was really special that she, even though very betrayed by him, still wrote his ending. You know, he died saving his queen because he was the Kingslayer, and instead of just being known forever as the Kingslayer, he actually died saving his queen. I like that. I get it. I don't like that they did that. I don't like that that's how Jaime Lannister died. You know, I did like that scene with Brienne, and I thought, okay, well, that's cool. She at least gets to honor Jaime in that way, which was nice. We then get Tyrion, and he enters the council room, and what was so funny is that he fixes all the chairs, and I don't know if you guys are OCD like I am, but I was like, oh my god, those chairs are driving me crazy. And they were driving Tyrion crazy, so he like fixes them. And then in walks Bronn, Davos, Sam, Brienne, wheels in Bran, and they're having like their meeting, talking about just the normal things a king would be talking about. They even bring up like, has anyone heard of where Drogon is? And they're like, oh, I think he went this way. And Bran's like, oh, I'll try to see. I'm like, what? Okay. So random, but sure, I get it. They want to make sure the dragon doesn't come back to burn them all to the ground. But we then get Jon. He gets to the wall. We see Tormund. And I'm sure there's a lot of Game of Thrones fans out there who are very, very, very excited about this. We get Ghost back, and Jon actually pets Ghost. Huzzah! Huzzah! Ugh! Still frustrates me that he just sent Ghost off and was like, bye, I'll never see you again, bye. It's really strange. So, yeah, at least Ghost is back with Jon, and Jon's back with Tormund, okay. And then we get like montage-y, which felt very trailery. We get Arya like on a ship, and she looks different. She looks like sort of an adventurer now. We get Sansa, she's being crowned Queen of the North. That was really interesting. We get Jon, and he is going with all of the free folk north of the wall, and Ghost is with him, Tormund's with him, and I was like, well, is he just escorting them, or is he choosing to be a free folk now? I don't really know what else to say. Is this how I thought Game of Thrones would end? Not in a bajillion million years. I expected so much more. I hoped for so much more. Part of me feels like us fans deserved a lot more. I'm curious to know if years from now, people are gonna binge watch the show and then get to season 8 and be like, did I miss a season? Did I miss something? Because that's kind of how this season felt for me. You know, no one's ever gonna be 100% happy with a series finale. This whole season just felt very off. It didn't feel like Game of Thrones. Some of the character decisions didn't feel like they were supported fully. So for me, this is not the way that I thought we'd be going out. This is not how I thought my final recap and review of this show would go. I knew that, you know, there'd be some disappointment from just the show ending. And in the words of Jon Snow, it doesn't feel right. And I agree. But I do have to say that this show has truly inspired me over the years. You know, whether or not I'm disappointed about a couple episodes or not, this show still has meant so much to me over the past 10 years, you know, from reading the books to watching the adaptation come to life on screen. The show has truly been such a big part of my life, and as well as your guys' lives and my channel. You know, I have done so many Game of Thrones videos, and you know, I really appreciate what this show has meant to me, and it's really sad to see it just ending. I mean, we have the prequel to look forward to. I hear there's even more prequels that they're floating around, which could be really interesting. I'm gonna look forward to those. You know, I love medieval fantasy and I'll give it a shot. But it is sad to say goodbye to Game of Thrones. It really is sad. I just have to say thank you to Game of Thrones and HBO because, you know, this show has been such a huge part of our lives for so long. But I want to hear your thoughts on the finale, the series finale. It's crazy. I never thought I'd be saying that. At least not this soon. I was expecting a lot more seasons of Game of Thrones. So let me know what your thoughts are. Did you like this episode? Did you like who ended up on the Iron Throne? Was it what you were expecting? How do you feel about Jon? Because I am very disappointed about Jon. I have a feeling that all the Jon fans are going to be rioting, and you know, there are people making fun of the Dany fans last week, and now this week's going to be a bunch of Jon fans being like, why? And it's true. It's true. I feel like so many characters were like completely ripped off this season, and we didn't get like any answers. There are so many things that are left unanswered, which really sucks. There's so many cool things that we could have explored and seen more of, but you know, George, we're leaving it to you now, all right? Don't let us down. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Guys, I really appreciate if you've been following all my recap reviews over the past few years. This has been really fun for me, and I'm gonna continue to make videos, obviously, so hit that subscribe button right over here so you don't miss out on any of my videos. And if you wanna catch up on more of my Game of Thrones stuff, I've got over 100 Game of Thrones videos, so check them out right here. See you guys soon.